Good morning and welcome to Rise and Unwind, a lifestyle show where we talk about tips, tricks, and fun activities you could do in your own neighborhood. My name's Kayla, and today we've got this.
If you're new to owning a house or looking for just replacing your mower, Tractor Supply is a great place to look, as we have a broad assortment of mowers depending on what size you need. If you have a smaller yard, push mower or self-propelled may be best for you.
I was in a relationship that did not honor me very well at all, as well as didn't honor my dad or my family.
All that and more right here on Rise and Unwind.
WrestleMania is already one of the biggest events in sports entertainment, and this year it's turning into an entire week-long takeover in Las Vegas. From SmackDown to Raw to the massive two-night WrestleMania at Allegiant Stadium, fans are getting more action than ever. So joining us now is WWE superstar Liv Morgan, champion, rule breaker, and one of the most dangerous competitors in the game. Welcome to the show, Liv. How are you?
Oh, thank you. I love that introduction. Thank you. I'm doing well. I woke up the greatest Royal Rumble winner of all time, so I have no complaints,
All right. Congratulations to you. You've been kicking butt, both literally and figuratively. WrestleMania 42 just got even bigger with SmackDown and Raw added to the week. What does it mean to be part of an entire WrestleMania week instead of just one night?
Yeah, so WrestleMania week is always chaotic in the best way. We have Friday Night SmackDown, as you said, Monday Night Raw. We have the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony where Stephanie McMahon's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So iconic. And then we have our 2-day spectacle of WrestleMania. It is a very busy week, but it is so worth it. There is so much connection with the WWE universe. So many opportunities to run into your favorite WWE superstar and get an autograph and get a photo. Giving back to the WWE Universe and the community of Las Vegas for so graciously hosting us in our second year of WrestleMania there. Last year we had our most successful WrestleMania of all time in Las Vegas as far as attendance and viewership. And so we are excited to run it back and do it bigger and better than ever.
You've had some massive moments in your career. Money in the Bank, championship wins, the Revenge Tour. When you look at this year's WrestleMania season, where does that rank for you personally?
Ooh, well, I think for me, it might end up ranking as number one because after 11 years of hard work and dedication, I've finally certified myself a spot in the WrestleMania event. Which day, I don't know, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to walk out a champion. And so I'm super excited.
Okay, and Backlash is coming up in Tampa in May, and it's the first premium live event after WrestleMania. How does the energy shift after WrestleMania, and why should fans expect fireworks at Backlash?
Yeah, so WrestleMania to me kind of signifies the start of the wrestling new year. We work all year to lead into WrestleMania, to tell these stories and have these matches at WrestleMania. And once it's done, it kind of feels like a reset. So Backlash being the first PLE in the wrestling new year, as far as I'm concerned, in Tampa, where I'm currently from. So I kind of feel like the hometown hero walking in, a brand new champion. So you can expect excitement, chaos, and I'm known to be a little bit messy. So you can expect a mess.
All right, some fans love you, some fans love to hate you. Either way, they're watching, but how do you channel that reaction when you step into the ring?
Kind of exactly what you said. They either love to hate me or hate to love me, and I welcome and appreciate it all because I don't really care what you think about me, respectfully. It is what it is, and I'm going to do the same thing that I do regardless. But I appreciate the noise. Everything that we do is for the audience and for their energy. So whether they're cheering or booing me, I appreciate it nonetheless.
Maybe you should challenge some of them to the ring themselves.
They can't handle me. Are you kidding me?
All right, for anyone who's never experienced a WWE live event in person, what's different about being inside that arena compared to just watching it at home?
Yeah, so watching at home, you get all the camera angles, you get the commentary on your TV. It's a very much more intimate controlled experience, but live you have the energy of the hundreds of thousands of people that got a ticket with you that are cheering or booing their favorite WWE superstars. It is such a mix of athleticism, sport, entertainment, blended in a way that only WWE can provide. So you are definitely in for a treat, because WWE is for everyone and we want everyone to be entertained. So you bring your mom, your uncle, your cousins, your dog. I don't think dogs are allowed in the venue, so you can't bring your dog, but your dog can sit and enjoy at home if you don't come to the show. But I recommend coming to the show.
I've also heard that you're becoming a movie star and have a project on the way.
I have something on the way. Bad Lieutenant, I filmed in Japan last year. It's going to hit theaters in September. I was very excited about the project. I learned a lot and I feel better after the fact, having the experience. I was lucky to be in the room with all of these incredibly talented veterans of the film industry. And the WWE audience is going to see me in a way that I think perhaps they never thought they'd see me. So I would tune in.
Liv Morgan, I want to thank you for joining me today. WrestleMania 42 takes over Las Vegas April 18th and 19th at Allegiant Stadium, with SmackDown on April 17th and Raw on April 20th at the T-Mobile Arena. And WWE Backlash heads to Tampa on May 9th. You can get your tickets and full event details at WWE.com. Liv, I want to thank you for hanging out with me today.
Thank you. Have a good day. And don't forget to watch me. Future champion over here, okay?
More than 60 years of rock, and they're still filling arenas. From Rock You Like a Hurricane to Wind of Change, the Scorpions have sold over 110 million records and helped define rock for generations. Now they're heading back to Las Vegas for a brand new residency celebrating 6 decades of music. So joining us from Germany, we've got Klaus Meine and Matthias Jabs of Scorpions. It's great to have you both here. How are you?
Great.
Very good. How are you? Thanks for having
Good morning.
us.
I'm doing good. All right. It's been 60 years. That's one heck of a long time for pretty much any business. When you look back, what stands out most about the journey from those in the early days in Hanover to now headlining another Vegas residency?
Oh, it's crazy when you think about it, you know, because for German band, when we started out in the early 70s, writing lyrics in English, you know, it was a big dream, you know, to say one day we'll play the United States. And when we had the chance to come over in 79 and throughout the 80s, you know, this dream came true, you know, and it's a wonderful thing after so many years that we're still together, still playing a global stage and, still rocking like a hurricane. And we can't wait to come back for another residency in Vegas in September, and hope many, many fans from all over the place will join us and see us there.
And songs, like you mentioned, Rock You Like a Hurricane, No One Like You, and Winds of Change, still connect with a new audience. What do you think gives those songs that staying power?
I mean, first of all, with No One Like You, I think we were in 1982 with a Blackout tour. We were the most played radio song on rock radio, at least, and gave us the headline status in the States touring, and then followed by Rock You Like a Hurricane. The 80s were extremely good for the Scorpions, and with Wind of Change, we topped it all in the early 90s, and those are 3 iconic songs which we still play live and which carried us through the decades, you know, plus many other songs like Still Loving You, Big City Nights, whatever we have. And all those greatest hits we will play on stage at the residency in Vegas.
Yes, Vegas has become a home base for you. The last couple of years, and I think we talked last year, what makes this residency different from the previous runs you've done?
We have to find out. I mean, we are still on the 60th anniversary tour. We will always play the greatest hits because, you know, there's such a great demand from the fans. But we have time enough to think about something very special.
So when you build the set list for a show like this, how do you balance the massive hits with some of the deeper cuts and maybe even some new material?
They have to be a good balance, you know, because there's so many songs that the fans want to hear, definitely, you know, and so we throw in songs also from Rock Believer, our latest album, you know, so like songs like Gas in the Tank, but also all-time classics like The Zoo, Loving You Sunday Morning, Tease Me, Please Me, you know, all these rockers, and a couple beautiful ballads like Send Me an Angel are in the set as well, you know. So many songs we just have to play, and then we think about on digging deep into some other material we haven't played for quite a while.
So after 6 decades, what still excites you about walking on stage and hearing that crowd?
The fans. I mean, it's a roar of the audience. The minute you go out, you might be nervous before you walk out on stage, but the minute you see the fans, you're connected and it clicks, you know, and together we have a magic evening, rocking out like crazy. And especially in Vegas, there couldn't be a better place to celebrate 60 years of Scorpions.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. Scorpions coming home to Las Vegas. 60 plus years of Scorpions kick off this fall at PH Live at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. Tickets are on sale now. Get them at Ticketmaster.com/ScorpionsVegas. If you ever wanted to hear those anthems live in one room, this is your chance. I want to thank you two one more time for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
And enjoy. Have a good day.
Some stories don't fade with time, especially when they involve trust, friendship, and betrayal. The new 3-part Hulu docuseries, Friends Like These, The Murder of Skylar Neese, revisits the 2012 disappearance of a West Virginia teenager and the shocking truth that followed. It's a story told through social media, personal interviews, and voices closest to the case. So joining us this morning are director Claire Titley and former FBI agent and polygraph examiner Dr. Rob Ambrosini. Thank you two for being here. How are you?
Thank you. Good. Thank you.
All right, Claire, what stood out to you about this case and what made you feel like it needed to be revisited now, more than a decade later?
I think one of the things that made me that was so kind of shocking about this case when I first kind of looked at it was the fact that it's 2012 and it's quite a unique era in a way for social media, because it was that era where social media was new. It was kind of a new frontier. It was the kind of Wild West, though, as well. And teenagers were experimenting with it. They were just putting their entire lives online. They didn't have the hindsight that we have now about kind of, you know, what could possibly go wrong. But also it was an era where adults weren't really looking at social media. So nobody was kind of checking up on them. There were no sort of checks and balances. And that makes that generation of teenagers at that kind of time particularly unique. They're almost like the guinea pigs of social media. And
the series used Skylar's own words and social media posts that you said. How did that storytelling change the ways this story unfolds for viewers?
I think it was really important to us to try and give Skylar a voice. We didn't want her to just be a kind of a plot point in a true crime, you know, where she's just the kind of victim and has no voice. We really wanted her to have agency in telling her own story, which is harder than it sounds, you know, obviously when she's gone. But she left behind this incredible sort of archive of tweets, of digital messages, but also her own writing as well. So we worked very closely with her parents to make sure that we could just bring her voice kind of front and center, and that she could at least be a part of telling this story from the inside out. So we interview her friends as well, quite comprehensively, so that we can hear this story from the 16-year-old perspective, including Skylar herself.
And Dr. Ambrosini, you spent 24 years with the FBI. You've conducted thousands of polygraph exams. When you look at this case, what role did interviewing and behavioral analysis play in getting the truth?
Well, interviewing really played a significant role. And long before I became involved in the case, the two young girls, they were interviewed by case agents, state troopers, local police investigators. And during that process, you kind of started seeing this evolution of what really should be fact, right? You know, when things are fact, it doesn't change, right? The truth is the truth, and it's always going to be the truth. But there were indications during these interviews that really did result in kind of like this evolution of their story. And of course, when that happens, you know, the logical investigation is, why is this person changing that story, right? So this case is kind of about the behavior that's exhibited, the ideation, what's going on, what are they thinking, and how are they communicating? And that really speaks to the social media that you have here, which again was kind of in its infancy stage, if you will, compared to what it is now. So really, a lot of it did come down to the really significant interviews that the investigators were doing.
And one of the most unsettling aspects is how normal these friendships appeared on the surface. How does this case reveal about the hidden conflict, especially among teenagers?
I think I think what we really wanted to do with this series was kind of remind people what it's like to be 16. It's very easy to forget when you become an adult, and put that behind you. But about the fact that when you are that age, your brain behaves in such a way that your friends become much more important than your parents, than your family. Everything is very heightened. Your reasoning is off, if you like. Your idea of consequences, is very different to that of an adult. And when you have that combined with social media that is completely I say unregulated, but unwatched by anybody else, that's where the kind of combination was kind of so dangerous, really. I think particularly for that generation who didn't have the hindsight that we have now.
And Claire, after someone watches all 3 episodes, what do you hope stays with them?
I hope people do reflect on their own use of sort of social media on their children, on their family as well, and remember what it's like to be that age. But also, I hope that they come away from this feeling like they know Skylar, and she would have turned 30 just a few weeks ago. So that's a life that she didn't have. And she should have gone to college. She wanted to be a lawyer. There's all this life that didn't happen. And I'd love for people to come away knowing and remembering Skylar as she was.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. Friends Like These, The Murder of Skylar Neese, with all 3 episodes available to stream now on Hulu. I want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's something powerful about a song that feels real, like it was pulled straight out of someone's life. Country artist Harper Grace has a new single called If Daddy Says No, and it's all about that push and pull between following your hearts and honoring where you came from. She's a Texas native with more than 17 million career streams and national TV appearances under her belt, and now she's stepping into country radio in a very big way. Harper Grace, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm so wonderful. How are you? Thanks for having me.
We're doing good over here. We were listening, and that song just feels really personal. What was happening in your life when you wrote If Daddy Says No?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was in a relationship that I thought I was so in love, and I was ready to run away, get married, and do all the things. But thank the Lord, because my dad said no. So this is a very, very true, very personal story. And at the time I wrote this song, I was really stuck in between what the right decision was. I grew up in Texas. I have been so close with my dad ever since I was little. We went to father-daughter camps together, and I've always, always respected his opinion and what he thought of really anything. And at this time, I was in a relationship that did not honor me very well at all, as well as didn't honor my dad or my family. And so that really, really ate me up on the inside, which is what inspired If Daddy Says No. And it was a scary thing to write, and it's been a scary thing to talk about, but I'll tell you that the listeners of getting the opportunity of playing this song live have really been the thing for me to be encouraged to actually share this point of my life, because after I've played it live, I've heard so many different people's story of whether their dad actually did say no, and it was, a really bad relationship and they are no longer together and went through a divorce or whatever it may be, or their dad said no and they actually didn't end up getting married, or their dad didn't, chime in and they wish they did, or their dad did say no and they're living happily ever after. So there's so many different outcomes. And when I wrote If Daddy Says No, the lyrics don't have a resolution in the song, so that the listener is able to piece together what it is that their story might be in the midst of the lyrics. And so for me, my resolution was my dad did say no, not to love, but to remind me that true love is worth waiting for, and finding somebody that really, really honors and respects you as a human being, as well as your family and what matters most to you is important.
And you've already had some huge milestones, national TV performances, 17 million streams, even a Netflix sync. How does this single feel different as your first one going into country radio?
Honestly, it feels like I ripped a piece out of my heart and put it on paper and then passed it out to a bunch of people. And I think that that's the beauty in it. I think that I always have fun writing music. I always enjoy telling, fun stories with Take It to the Grave, Getaway, that's in the Netflix movie. But this song was so personal and so vulnerable. And I just wanted that to set the tone for this year, especially coming out with new music towards the end of the year as well. This is kind of this waterfall trickling in on an album, hopefully soon, and the album would be called Dear Heart. So these are really pages just ripped out of my heart of areas of my life that people don't quite know about, that I'm ready to share because of having the opportunity of playing them live for a couple of years now, and knowing that so many other people have also walked through these situations and these experiences in much different ways. But yeah, it does feel different because it feels vulnerable.
All right, here's a question I like to ask artists and people that are creators. Who is an inspiration for you that is outside of the type of, like, that is not a musician or somebody like that, like a country singer, that is outside doing their own art? What is it? Who is some in another form of art is an inspiration to you that you use in your own world and building creativity?
In another form of art, I think I spend a lot of time listening to music, so that is definitely something that in the most artistic thing has drawn me. But I do listen to a lot of podcasts and a lot of preachers. And I think that that's a whole nother art, is bringing scripture to life and talking about it. Jensen Franklin is someone that I really look up to. Jonathan Pokluda is someone that I look up to. Sadie Robertson. There's this wonderful podcast called Girls Gone Bible. I listen to that a lot. So I think maybe that's another piece of art in my personal opinion that I really draw a lot of inspiration from.
And for people who discovered you for the first time, how would you describe your sound, and what would you want them to feel when they actually hear this track?
I would describe it, my sound in general would be a soulful country with a little bit of classic added to it. I would hope that when people hear If Daddy Says No, that they could do some, maybe some searching of what that personal piece is that is attached to that song, and know that there's ways to get it out and talk about it, and music is a wonderful way to piece personal bits of your own life, whether that's If Daddy Says No or your favorite artist. But yeah.
Harper Grace, I want to thank you for hanging out with me today. You can check out Harper Grace's new single, If Daddy Says No, when it hits streaming platforms February 27th. And to learn more, you can follow her journey. Visit harpergracexo.com and find her on social media. Harper, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a wonderful time. Top tier, 10 out of 10.
Well, thank you. There's a shift happening right now. People are looking at their yards a little differently. Less about just mowing the lawn, more about actually using the space, gardening, raising chickens, and even growing their own food. Marty Skold-Jordan and Tyler Potts from Tractor Supply are here with some smart ways to make that happen this spring. It's great to have you both here. How are you, my friends?
Oh, doing great, and love that it's spring.
I'm happy that it's spring too, and I'm going to spring into a better yard thanks to you, Marty. The idea of yard pride is popping up more. What are people focusing on right now?
Yeah, so now is the time to check off really that backyard to-do list, that you can spend more time in your backyard with your friends and family, or maybe even your furry friends, by doing things such as picking up fallen branches, cleaning up any matted grass or leaves you have left over from the wintertime, to really make sure your yard thrives this spring. Another thing is, this is the best time to be checking on your equipment, so replacing those blades or sharpening them, or even draining the fuel that may be left over from last spring, so you can get a fresh start on the season. And if you're new to owning a house or looking for just replacing your mower, Tractor Supply is a great place to look, as we have a broad assortment of mowers depending on what size you need. If you have a smaller yard, push mower or self-propelled may be best for you. If you have a larger yard, maybe something like the Zero Turn sitting next to me is the best option to help speed up that cut time. And for the month of April, on the 25th and 26th, we will have our Tractor Supply demo days, where you can get in the seat of one of these mowers and test your skills and figure out which mower is best for you.
All right, Marty, backyard chickens are always are becoming a little more common. What's behind that? Why are people getting into it?
You know, those farm fresh eggs early in the morning are great, but it's also a wonderful family activity or one for yourself, a great hobby. You can come in and get chicks during chick days. We sold 11 million of them last year. A lot of folks are wanting those rare and premium breeds like the silkies that have the feathers on their feet. You can get a really wide variety of colors of eggs as well from some of these chickens, the blue eggs, the green eggs, the white, and the brown. It's pretty easy to do when you get the baby chicks. Within 18 to 22 weeks, they will start laying eggs. You just need a fabulous coop to keep them free of predators, to keep them safe in a good warm environment, and give them some feed and some fresh water, and you'll be ready to go. The chickens are absolutely fabulous to have, and there's so many different varieties. And at Tractor Supply, we even have baby ducks and baby turkeys.
Little ducks, little turkeys, you got all of that poultry out there.
Everything,
Tyler,
yes.
Gardening keeps growing in popularity. What should beginners know before they start? Because I'm terrible at it. And what are you seeing from more experienced folks?
Yeah, so for anyone who's new to gardening or if you're a veteran, the most important thing is understanding which hardiness zone you're in to determine which plants you want to plant and which will actually thrive in your area. So visit the Tractor Supply website to learn more details about that, or stop by your local store, pick up one of these farmers' almanacs. There is tons of information in here regarding that, and including your last frost date. Next, you want to know exactly how much sunlight the area gets, as each individual plant determines or needs different types of amount of sunlight. So for a tomato plant for a new gardener, that needs 6 to 8 hours. So you want to make sure you put those in the right area. And then last is what kind of garden you're going to have. Are you restricted on space like myself? Then maybe a container garden and or a raised bed is best for you. Or if you have a lot more space, maybe an in-ground garden that allows you to have a larger variety may be the best option. And through the month of May, you should always stop by your local Tractor Supply, as our team members are very, very knowledgeable when it comes to this and experts in this area of the business, and they can help you figure out what's best. And you also can take advantage of our great deals on Bonnie, Scott's Miracle-Gro, and grass seed and flowers as well.
And Marty, when you use the phrase life out here, how does that show up for people today?
You know, it depends on where you are. So if you have a small space, just a small patio, and you want a container garden, you can do that. But if you have a home or you have a yard and you want to make use and make that land productive, easy to do and change over to fruit trees. And we also have like blueberry bushes that you can get at our stores. If you have a bigger place, you might be able to get the chicks, as we talked about, or a farm or ranch. So we have it all, depending upon where you live is where your life out here is. And how you make it. So it's your land, it's your home, it's your garden, it's those animals. And I know when I've been out in the garden with Blue, my blue roan cocker spaniel, she gets pretty muddy paws. Don't want those in the house. And so we have pet washes at Tractor Supply. So bring your pet on in, on a leash. We have a lot of different pets that have come in and a lot of different animals. But the pet washes are great, and you can make those paws clean again so you can get those animals back in the house.
Well, there you go. Marty, if someone's watching and thinking, where do I get started? Where should they go?
Well, come on into Tractor Supply for all of the things that we talked about, or go online, tractorsupply.com/spring.
Marty, Skull, Jordan, Tyler, thank you two for joining me today.
Have a wonderful spring. Hope everything grows beautifully.
Thank you.
And that does it for today's episode of Rise and Unwind, aka your weekly excuse to procrastinate productively. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Truly, you could be anywhere, and yet you chose this delightful show. We appreciate that. Make sure you follow our socials at Rise Unwind, and check out the website to stay updated at riseunwindtv.com. Stay fabulous, stay curious, and stay slightly over-caffeinated, and we'll see you next week on Rise and Unwind.